Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of Poodling Around. Today we're sniffing out something fabulous that you can do all year round on the Lake District's second largest lake, Ullswater. Ullswater is often regarded as the most beautiful lake in England, and it's very much the legacy of three Ice Age glaciers, which have given it its distinct Z shape. There's some dispute as to whether its name comes from the Old Norse for Ulf's Lake, or whether it means wolf, or whether it refers to a Saxon lord called Ulfus. Whatever the origin, it's a stunning lake on which to sail with the help of the heritage steamer company Ullswater Steamers. So I've decided that the best thing to do is to talk to Rachel Bell from Ullswater Steamers to find out all about this exquisite experience. Starting, of course, with that all-important question, what is Ullswater Steamers?
Yes, so Ullswater Steamers operate lake cruises on Ullswater in the Northern Lake District. We have about 5 heritage vessels in our fleet, one of which dates back to possibly believe the oldest vessel in the world, which is Lady of the Lake 1877. So we've been cruising on Ullswater for about 150 years plus. And today, obviously, we let connect obviously our 4 main piers to some of the best and most famous walking routes in the Lake District National Park.
Fantastic. So, for those who aren't familiar with this lake, it's fair to say it's pretty unique and it's very beautiful, isn't it? Could you just tell us a little bit about it and the surrounding scenery?
I could tell you a little bit of the wow factor and a little bit of the geological behind it. So Ullswater is what they call a classical ribbon lake. It's actually created by 3 separate glaciers, and that's what gives it that unique kind of twist, really. So when you look at Ullswater, it's very much like a Z shape. So when you're cruising down, you're obviously cruising between the mighty sort of like Helvellyn mountain range on one side, and then obviously the softer rounded hills as you reach the northern leg of the lake at Pooley Bridge. So it's quite dramatic, the scenery, because obviously the lake, I suppose the shoreline seems to rise from the lake. It's got a really dramatic kind of V shape to it. So it's about 7 miles long as well. So it takes about an hour to cruise from one end to the other.
Yes, it's always struck me there are 3 kind of distinct stages to it, aren't there? And I think you can see those when you're cruising along. It's a fantastic journey, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because you're going from that, as I said, from the Pooley Bridge end and the north end, it's much softer and rounder the landscape. And then as you get into the middle with Howtown, you start then looking down towards the Helvellyn mountain range. It becomes much, much bigger and much more of a sort of like a mountain plateau. With a couple of hanging valleys and waterfalls as well. So yeah, it's quite dramatic and ever changing. You can certainly see why the landscape was inspiration for some of the most famous poets and artists over the centuries.
Yes, and I believe that this is the lake by which William Wordsworth saw daffodils growing, so inspiring his poem of the same name. That's right, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, he was actually on a walk along the lakeshore at Glencoyne with his sister Dorothy, and it was actually his sister Dorothy's account of the walk that was, I think it was around about the 15th of April 1802. It was her account in her diary, which made her, obviously her brother, reflect on a conversation that they had about obviously these daffodils dancing and fluttering in the breeze, and obviously we know the rest from there. It became one of the world's most famous poems.
Not to say that he pinched it from his sister, but every indication is perhaps he did.
Well, behind every great man, it was the
Indeed.
it was the it was. I mean, her diary actually is on. I think at the moment the Dove Cottage down in Grasmere actually have extracts of that diary sort of thing, and it is there to all to see. But obviously, the final poetry was obviously her brother William.
Yes, yes, she just had the concept,
Yeah.
as most women do. So, when you're on a heritage steamer, then is it just a case of sitting out on deck and enjoying the scenery, or is there an indoor section that you can go and sit in if it gets a bit chilly?
Yeah, we have indoor saloons on the boat, so they are obviously we do sail all year round, so they are pretty much all weather vessels. So we have the open decks. We get those lovely hot sunny days, and you obviously enjoy the sunshine and outside, and without the canopy. We've got half canopy as well on the upper decks, and then inside obviously we have heated saloons with the bar areas and everything. So each boat's quite different, has its different sort of like set of facilities. But the oldest, obviously, Lady of the Lake, She dates back to 1877, but she's obviously converted since, and she has a a nice indoor saloon, and a big sort of like outdoor deck space, covered and uncovered.
You said Lady of the Lake. So what are the other
Mm.
names of the steamers then?
Yeah, so we've got Lady Lake. She's our oldest, and we've got her sister vessel, uh, which is Raven. So she joined in 1889, and then we've got Lady. I'm just trying to think in order actually. Probably Lady Dorothy, Lady Wakefield, and then Western Belle finally.
So they must all have their own kind of identity and personality, I guess.
Yes, they do. They're all sort of like heritage vessels. They've all got their own story. Obviously, Lady Wakefield, originally Totnes Castle. She spent some of her working life down on the River Dart. Same with Western Belle, River Tamar. And then obviously Dorothy was a working seafaring vessel in Jersey. So yeah, they've all got their own sort of like unique story to tell, and obviously their own strengths as well.
Now you sail pretty much all year, don't you? So does the experience change with the seasons?
Yeah, I mean, the scenery obviously does as well. We get the lovely sort of like snow-capped mountains in the winter. We do serve a lot of walkers. So obviously in the summer, we see more people that are sort of like the pleasure cruisers. So looking for the sort of like, that kind of just, relaxing cruise and admiring the scenery. But obviously interspersed with that, especially in the sort of shoulder seasons, is the walkers really using the Ullswater Way and using the boats to obviously get from one lake to another.
Mm. Yeah, so I mean that is a really big thing, isn't it, for walkers, that you
Yeah.
connect them to some of the best places and the best walks, so they don't have to do the sort of long miles to get to the best bits that they want to see. I guess they can just hop on
Yes.
board and use you.
Yeah, and it completes a real day out as well, really, because obviously you can travel around without using the car. The boats, obviously, they connect not only to your walking routes, but also to your bus routes as well, and then via from the train station thing. So it's a really, really sort of like good way of seeing, fabulous scenery, but without obviously having the stresses of bringing a car. And as you just said, not everyone wants to do the walk that we used to really sort of like, is one of the most famous is the Lakeshore Walk, which is between Howtown and Glenridding, but it's a good 4.5, 5 miles long. So
Mm.
it's quite, it's not a hard walk, but it's challenging because it's still a long walk. Whereas we've got obviously a lot of shorter options now, and you can use the boats as well to get in and out. So you just want to get off and do a little bit of exploring, get back on. It gives you a great opportunity to really sort of like explore for all ages, really.
And I think a few years ago you also opened up the possibility for people to get to the Air Force waterfall, didn't you?
Yes, because that was a pier that was originally in place at around about 19, I think it was 1950s, 1960s. I remember we were having a bit of a back and forth with the National Trust trying to find documentation because everyone was convinced there wasn't one there, but we did find evidence that there actually was. There was a wooden jetty there for about 3 years, I think it was, back in the day, and but it kept obviously getting damaged. It was in slightly the wrong place. So in the end, Lord Wakefield, founder of the company, just said no, enough's enough, and his two big vessels at the time were only Raven and Lady, and they could get in and out of area very, very well, sort of thing. But once the Ullswater Way obviously was, kind of created really as the round the lake walking option, and then obviously National Trust were quite in looking at investing in Air Force, both in terms of the waterfall walks, but also connectivity as well, connecting up that last piece in the puzzle between Glenridding and Air Force. And that kind of led to really sort of like us pushing the steamer company to invest really and reinstate that pier back at Air Force, which is extremely popular, especially with families as well that don't want to be on a 1 hour boat ride. It's literally 20 minutes, and then you've got the waterfalls, the squirrel walks, cafe, toilets, etc. So it really is good for a family day out. Air Force.
So where would I actually get on board a steamer, and where can I sail to, and how long is it going to take me to get there?
Depends where you're going to and from, but I would say our main two piers are Pulley Bridge, which is located in North, so just about 10 minutes off the M6, junction 40. And then to the south, you've got Glenridding, which is about 40 minutes north of Windermere. If you're driving, obviously, it probably takes about 40 minutes to drive one lane to the lake to the other. If you're cruising, it's an hour. The two walks in between, you've got Air Force. Air Force Pier is connected by Glenridding by cruise only. So obviously, if you are in Pooley, you come down to Glenridding and then go back to Air Force. And that's about a 20-minute journey between Glenridding and Air Force. And then Howe Town, which is the other side, probably about 30 minutes from Pooley cruising, and then 40 minutes from Glenridding to Howe Town.
Yeah, so it all sounds very easy to do, and you just sort of literally get on board the boat and you can get to wherever fairly quickly. Because I did Lake Como about 2 years ago, and that's actually quite confusing. Whereas yours sounds a lot simpler, actually.
Yeah, well, hopefully. I mean, our ticketing has been pushed to probably quite a challenge with COVID, just with people, obviously having to know where people are from one end to the next. So we're just been investing in a new ticketing company, and we hope to launch that in the next week, and that will be much more probably of a real sort of pick and mix. You're starting here, going to here. We really simplify and make it very easy for customers to understand what they're booking and where they're going.
Uh-huh. So this is all the regular experience, isn't it? But you also stage special events, don't you? So what's on the cards for the coming months?
We do. We've obviously, this year we're not doing obviously everything we would do. So we're just doing a couple of our highlight key events. So the fish and chip evening suppers are back, which I know that you remember and enjoy yourself, Jane. We've also got some new ones as well, which are gin cruises. So the gin cruises we introduced just pre-COVID actually, and we were working with the Lakes Distillery with them. We're actually just working with another local supplier at the moment, Chestnut House in Pooley. The idea being as well that we're going to use lots of different local distilleries, which kind of give us a real sort of like flavour. So looking at Pennington Spirits and Liqueurs, Kendal on one week, just Shed One Distillery, at Ulverston another, and then say Bedrock Gin, Keswick on another.
Yes, that's nice. So you're sort of sharing the love around the sort of different distilleries in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and each got their own distinct taste anyway, haven't they? So
absolutely, I think it's just really sort of
like one, couldn't they?
Yeah, they might do, but people might want to go in different ones.
I think I might be booking. So somebody wish to do so, could they hire a boat on a private basis, say for a wedding or a product launch even?
Oh, yes. All our vessels are available for private charter as well. So, and private charters range from anything from an hour cruise, 2-3 hours, depending on obviously what you want. Each vessel, different sizes as well, depending again whether you want food or dancing or both, or just literally for toast, etc., or cutting cakes, or as you said, like a product launch. But we got probably predominantly 4 of them that we went for private charter sort of thing. So.
And I think there's an event also for people who like a bit of yachting action, isn't there?
Yes, we got. I forgot about that one. Yes, thank you. We've got Burkitt Cup coming up, which is to do with obviously Lord Burkitt, the advocate for Ullswater, who stopped Ullswater being drained as part of in the 60s with the Manchester Water Corporation that were looking to build a dam and flood Ullswater. And we have sort of like the Ullswater Yacht Club have a celebratory race every year to commemorate this occasion, and we tend to use one of our largest vessels as like I suppose you could say a sightseeing or a captain's eye view, shall we say, of the race as it's taking part, sort of thing. So we'll be having that again in the summer as well. So I think that's beginning of July.
Yeah, so that's great for anybody who likes a bit of on water action, I guess, getting up quite close to what's going on, and much better than just being on the shore, I guess. I think you can probably see a bit more of the manoeuvres and how people are working hard to get their yachts in different positions, I guess. And this is obviously a really beautiful area, and I guess it's also rich in wildlife. So do you try to help your customers understand more about that?
Yeah, we do. We've got some sort of like commentary apps that we have on board the vessels, but we also have our own as well that you can download pre-visit. Plus, we try and obviously do as much interpretation as possible, really, just to give you an idea. And we have like interpretation panels and encourage customers to write down what they've seen. So, very big red squirrel territory. So, Air Force has quite a large population of red squirrels. And National Trust do have squirrel cams and things, so you can watch obviously those. And then we have like one of the largest, if not the largest, wild red deer herd over the tops really down into the other side of Howtown. And obviously in the autumn, when it's the deer up time and stuff, you can very often see some of the stags outlining on the top of the fells, shall we say, at the lower reach of it, and hear the roars as well, of course, which is quite a lot. So, but birds as well. I mean, people are I suppose we take for granted here about things like a raven, for example, but we're sort of like surrounded by ravens. You've got obviously red-breasted mergansers. We have a lot of oyster catchers, cormorants. All sorts really nuthatch. In summer, obviously swallows, swifts, and probably the fastest flying bird in the world, peregrine falcon, as well, which have a couple of nesting sites on the far side of the valley.
And I think you have a prehistoric fish in the lake, don't you?
We do, yes, the skelly. So Arctic char as well. So I've never seen one of those. But yes, they are believed to have been isolated by the last ice age, and I think they're only found in a couple of the lakes in the Lake District, Ullswater, and I think Ullswater, maybe another one. And I'm not sure about the other lakes. So, but it's it's extremely rare.
There's obviously lots to see and lots to do. Are dogs allowed to come along and enjoy any of this?
Yes, they are. Yeah, we always welcome our. It's a pound for a hound, as we say. So dogs are more than welcome on the boats, and there's great walkies for them to enjoy too. That's what we always say. Of course, they must be accompanied by their well-behaved owners.
Yes, which is a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite steamer, and if so, which one is it and why?
I'd say I did. Yeah, I think Lady Lake always. I don't know, because she's the oldest, I suppose. She's kind of the most treasured, really. And she's extremely sort of like elegant and just quite affinity with her. But I'm rather fond of Western Belle. I do like sort of like, I don't know, it's she's just such a practical sort of like kind of boat, really, and the way she's been refurbished is really sort of like endearing with her character. But yeah, it's difficult to have a favourite, but obviously we all do.
So if I want to step back into this sort of Victorian world of cruising on the lake, how would I go about it? What's the best way to actually come and visit you? Where do I get
Well, at the moment we do recommend that people do pre-book their tickets. As I said, you can book them on our website, ullswater-steamers.co.uk. There are some tickets available on the day, but it really does depend. I mean, because again, we've had to change obviously operations. We always say and recommend, obviously, if you can book online, then please do. And if you're having sort of like difficulties, then obviously you can give us a call, or if you do just turn up on the day, then obviously we'll put you on the next available vessel.
Yeah, so that seems to be a great plan for the summer. Whatever the weather, I guess, because you can always nip indoors into the saloon, as you said, and have a little sniffer at the bar, no doubt. So, I think that would be a wonderful thing for people to do this summer. So thank you very much for telling us all about that. And I hope that you have a very good season and that things can get back to normal for you very soon.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting us along.
Thank you.
Bye, Jane.
Bye.
Bye.
So after all that fabulous information, I really hope you've got a burning desire to visit Ullswater and walk in the steps of Wordsworth, as it is a great day out. If you're a speed merchant, perhaps you'd also like to know that this is the lake on which Donald Campbell set the world water speed record on the 23rd of July 1955 in the jet-propelled hydroplane Bluebird K7. You can find out more about Donald at both the Lakeland Motor Museum near Haverthwaite in the Southern Lakes and the Ruskin Museum in Coniston, and you can also visit his grave in Coniston. If you're planning to head to Aire Force, on the other hand, do read Wordsworth's tragic poem, The Somnambulist, before you go and understand all about the legend that's associated with the falls, which is all about a tragic night and the lady he left behind. If the kids also want to bring the waterfalls to life, why not get yourself a copy of the children's story trail, The Nozomi Bird of Aire Force, which was written by one of my previous guests, Anya Phoenix of Tale Trails. You can download that online at taletrails.co.uk, along with another work by Anya, Hetty the Carvetti of Pooley Bridge. So lots and lots of inspiration for you there and lots to plan. Have great fun doing that, and don't put that visit off because, as I always tell you, life's much richer when you're poodling around.